Have you ever wondered who the very first people to walk on the lands we now call America were? Long before any cities or roads existed, our story begins in a world of ice and wonder, a time known as the Ice Age. Imagine vast sheets of glittering ice covering the land, and the air crisp and cold. But this isn't a story about the cold. It's a story about a great journey. During this time, so much of the world's water was frozen in glaciers that the sea level was much lower, revealing a secret bridge of land connecting Asia and North America, a place we now call Beringia. It wasn't a bridge of ice, but a wide, grassy plain filled with hardy flowers and herds of giant animals. It was through this incredible gateway that the first people, brave families of hunter-gatherers, began their adventure into a new world. Let's follow a young boy named Nico, his strong father Kale, and his wise mother Lina. Their family, like many others, follow the mighty woolly mammoths, giant creatures with long, curved tusks, whose movements guided their own. Their lives were a rhythm of walking, watching, and working together, their warm furs protecting them from the biting winds as they traveled across this vast, open land. Nico would watch the horizon with wide, curious eyes, seeing not an empty land, but a world full of promise and adventure. Their journey southward was slow, unfolding over thousands of years. As they traveled, the world around them began to change in magical ways. The towering walls of ice gave way to sprawling green forests filled with new kinds of trees and the sounds of unfamiliar birds. They crossed wide, rolling plains where speedy bison grazed under a giant sky, and they navigated through deep canyons carved by ancient rivers, their walls painted in shades of orange and red by the setting sun. With every new landscape, they had to learn. They discovered which new plants were good to eat, how to find fresh water, best ways to build shelters from wood and stone instead of just mammoth bones and hides. It was a time of great adaptation and ingenuity. Then the world began to warm up even more. The Great Ice Age was coming to an end. The massive glaciers melted and the sea levels rose, covering the Beringia land bridge forever. The giant animals, like the woolly mammoth, slowly disappeared from the land. This was a huge challenge for the people. Their old way of life, following the great herds, was no longer possible. But these early Americans were brilliant problem solvers. They began to hunt smaller animals like deer and rabbits, and became experts at fishing in the newly formed rivers and lakes. They also became incredible botanists, learning the secrets of every root, berry, and leaf in their environment. And then came the most important discovery of all: farming. Legend says a curious woman, perhaps like Nico's mother Lina, noticed that seeds dropped on the ground would sprout into new plants after the rains came. This changed everything. In the area we now call Mexico, they began to grow corn, which they called maize, along with beans and squash. They called these the Three Sisters because they grew so well together, helping one another thrive. Corn provided a strong stalk for the bean vines to climb. The beans put important nutrients back into the soil that the corn needed, and the big, shady leaves of the squash plants kept the ground moist and free of weeds. With a steady supply of food from their gardens, people no longer had to constantly move. They could build permanent homes and create villages. These villages grew into communities where people could share stories, art, and new ideas. From this one great journey, many different and unique cultures began to blossom all across North and South America, each one perfectly in tune with its own special environment. In the hot, dry lands of the Southwest, people like the ancestral Puebloans became master architects, building incredible cities of stone and clay right into the sides of cliffs. These cliff dwellings, like Cliff Palace at Mesa Verde, were safe, sheltered, and oh so ingenious. And a testament to their amazing building skills. Far away in the lush, wooded valleys of the Mississippi River, other groups, known as the Mound Builders, created enormous earth structures. Some were burial mounds for their leaders, while others were shaped like animals or formed the base of great cities like the city of Cahokia, which was once larger than London was at the time. On the Pacific Northwest coast, people built sturdy wooden houses from giant cedar trees and carved magnificent totem poles that told the stories of their families. In the eastern woodlands, they lived in harmony with the dense forests, and on the Great Plains, their lives would eventually become intertwined with the vast herds of buffalo. Each group developed its own language, its own art, its own beliefs, and its own way of understanding the world. They were all connected by their shared past as brave explorers who crossed a frozen bridge. But they grew into a beautiful and diverse tapestry of nations. And so, from a single path of ice and land, 1,000 different stories bloomed across the continent. These first Americans were not just survivors. They were explorers, inventors, artists, and the original storytellers of this land. They learned to listen to the earth, to adapt to its changes, and to build thriving societies from the ground up, leaving behind a legacy that is woven into the very soil beneath our feet. Their incredible journey was only the beginning of America's long and amazing story.